Hey, my name is Ty and welcome to another video about Can Start with Bit. In this video, our focus will be on some basics of dependency management and the automation capabilities Bit provides. If you want to read more about this one, I strongly recommend looking into our documentation and also Zoltan's amazing videos and blog posts about basic and advanced dependency management in a Bit mono. Let's first of all head back to our IDE here and see, first and foremost, how to understand what are the dependencies of each component. Now, unlike other monorepos that do multi-package publishing, in Bit, the package.json and dependency graph per each component is maintained automatically by Bit. This means that Bit will do static analysis, read all of the import statements from your code, take in different configuration insights, and build a dependency graph for your component. Now, in this project, we have 3 components, an environment and 2 React components. What I want to show here is, first of all, let's show the dependencies of my first component. So you can do this via bit show, or you can run bit start and see everything in a UI. Now we see here that this is all the information we have on my first component, and here we see the dependency information. So first of all, we see that my first component depends on my second component. It has them dependencies on testing library React, on its types, on the environment itself as a set of configuration as a dev dependency, and it has a peer dependency on React with a specific range. So how does this even work? First of all, the only thing that we've done in order to set a dependency between my first component and my second component was adding this import statement. And as you see here, there's no package.json, but this component has a different dependency graph from the show my second component, which, as you remember, in our previous video, we added dependency on Lambda. And we see here the dependency is on Lambda only. Now, how did this ever came to be? It's really hard to tell. Bit reads the implementation and does static code analysis for your code and find the different import and require statements. And from that, it builds the dependency graph. And then according to the type of file used to create this dependency, then the dependency type is created. So in this case, my first component, the actual implementation file, is what's importing my second component. So this is a dependency. Now, if I would use my second component in my tests or in my compositions, which are considered to be dev files, as we see here in the env.json, as you remember from previous video, which we have patterns for our docs and tests, right? So if we just take this import statement and we move this to our compositions and save, I can rerun bit show my first component. And we see that my second component is now a dev dependency. Obviously, if I have the same component as a regular dependency running show, the dependency is determined according to the most important dependency. So in this case, the dependency will be only a true dependency, not a dev dependency. This way, you don't really have to worry about managing a package.json for each component or managing dependency graph manually. You can just, as you import or require dependencies, build your code, Bit will follow your leads and build a dependency graph most relevant to your implementation. And even if I don't want this dependency, the only thing I need to do is just removing the import statements, running bit show. And you see here, I no longer depend on my second component in my first component implementation. But I do want this for next videos, so we'll quickly add that. There is one key feature that I also want to touch here in this case, which is the env.json and the dependency policy. So as I mentioned, as we spoke about environment control not only the standardization of how you want to build your components, compile them, test them, and so on, they also do a sort of shift left for dependency management. So if you want to determine what will be a global dependency version for different types of components according to their environment, you can do that through the env.json. So then no matter which dependency you actually install in a workspace or any of your peers, Bit will resolve the dependency version according to the policy as set here. So you can set your peer dependencies, your dev dependencies, your normal dependencies, and have far more control and standardized around your dependency management. Obviously, there are ways you can take manual control and add dependencies to components without actually having an import statement. You can even manage a component JSON configuration file on a per component level. You can force Bit to change the type of dependency if you want. There are specific commands, specifically bit depth, age. Obviously, the documentation and everything goes through them at length and explain exactly how to add dependencies, remove dependencies, even debug dependencies to understand which developer added which dependency and exactly how. But at the end of the day, the most important thing to understand is that on 99.9% of cases where the only thing you care about is importing other libraries or other components from your project or from any of your peers' projects, Bit will follow on your leads. It will add dependencies according to where exactly you depend on it, contextually, obviously. And as you remove dependencies or modify them, Bit will make sure to follow. In regards to versioning, the version of a dependency is determined by what is resolved inside your node modules. So whatever is actually installed in your workspace, set in your log file and workspace JSON, these will be the versions for these dependencies. So with that, I think it's a deep enough understanding for managing dependencies and utilizing Bit automated capabilities around dependency management. Thank you very much.